Well, on that point that you've said, you're absolutely right. If you talk to or talk with somebody, you will learn something. The problem that you tend to find in sales is they're talking at somebody.
hundred
They're not
percent.
really they're not really interested in what you've got to say. They just need to get their pitch off their chest in the hope that you might say yes, and then if you do, they can ring the bell and they've hit their target for the day.
Yes, and this is where the whole thing for me is misaligned
Hmm.
because everyone I've ever worked with in sales is just desperate to get hold of someone and desperate to sell them something. Like my approach was entirely different. I had a brilliant sales manager. My first sales manager was amazing. And he was
Hmm.
like, well, because I went to him after 3 days and went, I obviously can't do this. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
just phone people and make friends. You know what I mean? It's not hard. And then after 2 weeks, it's like, well, I'm making lots of friends. I can't get him to buy anything. And he's like, well, see if you can sell them a media pack because they're free. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it was like that. It's like do the
Yeah.
marketing type stuff. The point of
Yeah.
that was, what was the point of that? Is that people don't understand because they call them telesales. They don't understand what they're actually doing is marketing. And actually what they're doing is finding people who actually have an interest in and will benefit from buying the thing. Because then what you've got is a happy customer. And when you've got a happy customer, they'll like introduce you to other people who also have an interest in and might buy the thing because their mate
Yeah.
is telling them they should. But do you know what I mean? That's the way it works. But it feels
Yeah.
to me, and this is the danger of your assassin thing, because this leans into this horribly.
Okay.
But it feels to me like people are desperate. I've got to get someone on the phone. And when I get them on the phone, I've got to sell to them. And that's stupid.
Yeah, there's definitely a mentality. There's a panic of, like say, getting people on the phone, which got made even harder during lockdown and what have you, and people working from home. And when you're desperate and behind target, when somebody does finally answer the phone, you don't want to let them go. So
Yes.
you then tend to come across a little bit strong and overbearing, and then you try and troubleshoot any objections. So if they push back and go, well, I'm really not interested in this, they go, well, how do you know? Let me tell you a little bit more about it. And they're trying to kind of keep it going rather than taking that approach of cultivating a relationship. And that's
Yes.
where if you're prospecting, I often get people to map the journey that you would take a prospect through before they become a client. Okay.
Good.
And it's quite often it takes a few different it takes at least a couple of conversations before you can convince somebody to actually do something. Otherwise you're a complete stranger, right?
Yes.
They've seen all of the most people have had a really bad experience with somebody selling down the phone to them and then buying something that they didn't want or being conned or something along those lines. And that's where I think a lot of salespeople are just impatient. And when you can get them to slow down and go, on that first call, I want you to make friends with them. Okay. And as part of making friends, so getting them to like you, I'd like you to start seeing if you can get them to trust us a little bit. Not to do anything yet. You just want them to trust us. So what I would then set you as a bit of a goal to do based on what I do is say, well, as well as having a bit of a chat with them, can you drop off a case study of a company in their industry that we've worked with who thinks we're amazing, just so that they can see what our customers say about us? If they ask any more questions, brilliant. But if not, all we want to do is let them know that if they are looking for this service in the future, people in their industry use us for a very particular reason, and hear it from the horse's mouth. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, all of a sudden, I've turned what felt like a stressful sales role where there's the pressure to get some sales to you going to drop off some pizza menus. Can you go and give out them free media packs?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Um, because you give out 10 media packs, and the harder you work, the luckier you seem to get. The 10th one goes, actually, we're looking at this at the moment, or we're going to be looking at this next month. Maybe we should have another chat. Because
Yes.
everybody else is being cultivated as well, when you're ready to talk, we want to be the person that you talk to.
Yes.
And most salespeople are like, yeah, but it's really important, and I want you to talk about it now. And they don't understand that you've butted into somebody's day, and what you want to talk about is not at the top of their priority list. So you have to respect it. Um,
100%.
but that's where you can then use things like social media in the modern day, where I might reach out and connect with you on LinkedIn and say, hey, just wanted to connect because I'm going to reach out. You might be interested to look at a couple of my recommendations, people in your industry who I know you're connected with, and at some point would love to have a chat and see if there's a test drive I could offer you that might be of interest for you to have a look at what I do. Right, so I might
100%.
reach out, but it's not a hi there, can I take your order? It's when you're ready, let me know. And I deliberately use the language of a test drive because it has that kind of universal try before you buy kind of feeling to it. And people go, well, like you say, the message that you got from the fitness guy saying, well, why don't you try this? You go, well, why not?
Thank you for taking the time to check out this effective marketing clip. If you found this interesting and useful, YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this one, and this is the latest thing that we've put together. If you haven't yet, and you could take a second to like, share, subscribe, and comment, that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic journey.